walk into the airport confident. Same routine you've perfected over years of travel. Arrive 2 hours early, check in online, head straight to security with everything organized exactly how TSA expects it. You know the drill. But here's what they're not telling you. TSA has quietly implemented 11 major rule changes in 2025 without any public announcements, press releases, or updates to their official guidelines. Rules that fundamentally change how airport security works. Changes that experienced travelers are discovering the hard way when their perfectly legal items get confiscated, their normal behaviors get flagged, and their routine procedures suddenly violate new protocols they never knew existed. And the worst part? These aren't minor adjustments to existing policies. These are complete overhauls of how TSA operates, rolled out in secret to avoid what they call advanced circumvention by bad actors. Which means you, the innocent traveler, get caught in new rules designed to trap people who had no way of knowing they existed. Stick around, because rule number 7 has already caused more missed flights than weather delays in major airports. It's something that 95% of travelers do automatically without realizing it now violates federal security protocols. Let's jump in. New rule number 11, electronic separation requirement. You pull out your laptop like always. Same routine you've done hundreds of times. Laptop in one bin, everything else stays in your bag. You've got this process down to a science. Wrong process now. TSA quietly implemented comprehensive electronic separation in March 2025. All electronic devices larger than a smartphone must now be placed in individual bins. No exceptions, no grouping, no shared containers. Here's what most people have no idea about. The rule applies to everything electronic, not just computers. Tablets, e-readers, portable chargers, wireless headphones, smartwatches, every single electronic item gets its own bin. And the worst part, they're not announcing this at security checkpoints. You're expected to know. One business traveler in Chicago had 7 electronic devices in his carry-on. Under the old rules, laptops separate, everything else together. Under the new rules, he needed 7 individual bins. The TSA agent was impatient. Other travelers were waiting. He tried to explain that he'd never heard of the new rule. Ignorance of current security protocols isn't an excuse, the agent replied. Please step aside for additional screening. The additional screening took 45 minutes because they had to manually inspect every device he'd improperly presented for X-ray scanning. He missed his connecting flight to a $3 million client presentation. And this next detail will shock you. The rule isn't about security. It's about X-ray image clarity. TSA's new scanning algorithms can't properly analyze overlapping electronic devices, so they require complete separation to function correctly. But they're not telling travelers that their technology limitations are creating new requirements. Count your electronic devices before approaching security. Have enough bins ready for each item individually. Don't assume anything can be grouped together anymore. The X-ray machines changed, but nobody told you the procedures changed with them. Don't say we didn't warn you. New rule number 10, liquid container orientation protocol. You place your toiletries bag in the bin. Standard quart-size bag, everything under 3.4 ounces. Laid flat like you've always done. By the book, exactly how TSA taught travelers for years. That positioning just violated their new liquid scanning requirements. TSA now requires all liquid containers to be optimally oriented for scanning analysis. Bottles must be positioned with labels facing up, caps pointing in the same direction, and containers arranged by size within the bag. Here's what catches everyone. It's not enough to have legal liquids in a legal bag. The arrangement inside the bag must now follow specific positioning protocols for their scanning equipment to process correctly. And the enforcement is completely inconsistent across airports. Some agents are requiring alphabetical arrangement by product type. Others want containers sorted by volume. Some insist on caps all pointing toward one corner of the bag. This next case is unbelievable. A marketing executive flying from Denver to Miami had her toiletries confiscated, not because anything was illegal, but because the containers were improperly oriented for scanning protocols. When she asked what the correct orientation was, the agent said bottles should be positioned for optimal X-ray analysis, but couldn't specify what that meant. Her $200 worth of skincare products went in the trash because she didn't arrange them correctly in the bag. Different airports are interpreting optimal orientation differently, so what works in Phoenix gets you flagged in Atlanta. The most frustrating part? There's no official guidance on proper liquid arrangement because TSA considers the specific requirements operationally sensitive information. Your best bet is bottles standing upright, labels visible, caps pointing the same direction, arranged by size. But be prepared for agents who have different interpretations of the same rule. Most people have no idea that how you arrange legal liquids can make them suddenly illegal. New rule number 9, pre-screening behavior monitoring. You're walking toward the security checkpoint. Nothing unusual, just making your way through the airport like any normal traveler. But you're checking your phone, looking around for signs, maybe adjusting your bag strap. Those completely normal behaviors just triggered their new behavioral detection algorithms. TSA implemented pre-checkpoint behavioral analysis that monitors passenger actions before they reach security screening. Cameras with AI analysis track movement patterns, device usage, and behavioral indicators starting 200 feet before the checkpoint entrance. Here's what most travelers don't realize. You're being analyzed and profiled before you even get in the security line. Specific behaviors flag you for additional screening. Looking around excessively, checking your phone more than twice, adjusting clothing or bags, walking too slowly or too quickly, or pausing to read signs. And the worst part? The behavioral flags follow you through the entire screening process. This next detail will blow your mind. A college professor flying from Seattle to Boston was flagged by the pre-screening system for checking her phone 3 times while approaching security. She was looking up her gate number and departure time. That excessive device usage marked her for additional screening that included full bag search, explosive residue testing, and background verification that took 90 minutes. She missed her flight because she checked her flight information while walking to security. The behavioral analysis system doesn't understand context. It only recognizes patterns that deviate from their statistical model of normal approach behavior. Walk confidently towards security without checking your phone, looking around, or adjusting anything. Handle all device checks and preparation before you enter the approach zone. Your perfectly normal pre-security behavior is now being monitored and can be used against you. Don't say we didn't warn you. New rule number 8, footwear material restrictions. You're wearing your usual travel shoes. Comfortable sneakers with memory foam insoles, perfect for long airport days. Same shoes you've worn through security dozens of times without issues. Those insoles just became contraband. TSA quietly banned shoes with dense foam components in February 2025 due to what they call scanning interference materials. Memory foam, gel inserts, and thick padding now require removal and separate screening. Here's what catches most travelers. It's not about the shoes themselves, it's about what's inside them. Any shoe with dense internal materials that appear differently on X-ray scanners gets flagged for manual inspection. And the inspection process requires complete shoe disassembly. One frequent flyer with orthotic insoles learned this the hard way. His custom medical inserts, prescribed by a doctor and carried through security for 3 years, suddenly violated the new material density rules. TSA agents removed his insoles, tested them for explosive residue, and subjected them to additional screening that took 25 minutes. His connecting flight left while they were analyzing his medical devices. When he asked why his doctor prescribed orthotics were suddenly problematic, the agent said dense materials in footwear were no longer permitted without additional verification. 3 years of approved medical equipment became contraband overnight. This next revelation will shock you. The rule applies to any shoe component that appears anomalous on X-ray scanners. Thick soles, gel padding, arch supports, heel cushions, anything that creates density variations in scanning images. Even expensive athletic shoes with advanced cushioning technology are getting flagged because the foam patterns look suspicious to automated scanning systems. Choose shoes with minimal internal padding for travel. Basic thin-soled shoes pass screening faster than high-tech comfort shoes that trigger material density alerts. Your foot comfort isn't worth missing flights over footwear material violations. Most people have no idea that making shoes more comfortable can make them more suspicious. New rule number 7, ID presentation timing protocol. You reach the document checking station. Have your ID ready, boarding pass in hand, just like you've always done. Efficient, prepared, exactly how TSA taught travelers to approach document verification. That timing just violated their new presentation protocols. TSA now requires passengers to present documents only when specifically requested by the agent, not before. Having documents ready and visible before the agent asks for them is classified as premature document presentation and triggers additional scrutiny. This rule has already caused more missed flights than weather delays in major airports. Here's what most experienced travelers don't understand. Being prepared and efficient now looks suspicious to TSA's updated behavioral analysis training. Agents are taught to flag passengers who present documents before being asked because it suggests either extreme anxiety or attempts to rush through screening without proper verification. And the consequences are severe. One business consultant flying from Phoenix to New York had his documents ready as he approached the checking station. The agent immediately flagged him for non-compliant document presentation behavior. "Sir, I didn't ask for your documents yet," the agent said. "Having them ready suggests you're trying to expedite screening improperly." The improper presentation triggered a full background verification process that took 40 minutes. He missed his connection and a critical board meeting. 20 years of business travel experience and being prepared suddenly made him look suspicious. The most frustrating part? There's no clear guidance on when to have documents ready. Too early violates presentation protocols. Too late suggests disorganization or possible document issues. Approach the station with documents accessible but not visible. Wait for the agent to request them before retrieving them from your wallet or bag. Your efficiency habits that worked for years are now working against you. Most frequent flyers have no idea that being prepared can trigger security violations. You might help thousands of travelers avoid the same nightmare. Now, let's talk about what TSA is doing to your medication. You're not going to believe rule number 5, but first rule 6. New rule number 6. Carry-on weight distribution analysis. Your carry-on passes through the X-ray scanner. Same bag you've used for years, packed the same way, with the same items. Everything legal, everything organized, everything exactly where it should be. That weight distribution just triggered their new baggage analysis protocols. TSA implemented internal weight distribution scanning that analyzes how weight is distributed throughout your bag. Uneven weight patterns or anomalous density concentrations flag bags for manual inspection. Here's what most travelers miss. It's not about what you're carrying, it's about how you're carrying it. The scanning system looks for weight patterns that don't match typical packing behaviors, and the algorithm flags anything that doesn't fit their statistical model of normal baggage organization. This next case will blow your mind. A sales manager flying from Miami to Chicago had all her heavy items, laptop, chargers, books, packed on one side of her bag for balance when rolling it through the airport. The X-ray scanner flagged the asymmetrical weight distribution as suspicious. TSA agents completely unpacked her bag, analyzed every item individually, and tested multiple items for explosive residue. The inspection took 35 minutes. She missed her flight because of how she organized legal items in her legal bag. When she asked what the problem was, the agent explained that uneven weight patterns suggest possible concealment or modification of baggage contents. She was just trying to make her bag easier to roll through the terminal. The weight distribution algorithm doesn't understand practical packing considerations. It only recognizes patterns that match their model of normal baggage organization. Distribute heavy items evenly throughout your bag. Don't cluster electronics on one side or pack all dense items together. The goal is uniform weight distribution that doesn't trigger algorithmic suspicion. Your practical packing strategies can look suspicious to automated scanning systems. Don't say we didn't warn you. New rule number 5. Medication documentation requirements. You're carrying prescription medications. Same bottles you travel with monthly, properly labeled with your name and prescriptions, exactly as TSA has always recommended for medication transport. Those legal medications just became problematic. TSA now requires pharmaceutical verification documentation for any medication in quantities that exceed personal daily dosage requirements. Even legal prescriptions need additional paperwork if you're carrying more than they determine necessary. Here's what catches most travelers with chronic conditions. TSA agents now make judgment calls about how much medication you should need for your trip length. Carrying a week's worth of pills for a 3-day trip? That's excessive pharmaceutical quantities that require doctor's notes and additional verification. And the verification process takes 30 to 45 minutes minimum. One diabetic traveler flying from Boston to Los Angeles carried his standard 2-week supply of insulin and testing supplies. Same amounts he traveled with for 5 years without issues. TSA flagged his medication as excessive quantities inconsistent with trip duration and demanded documentation proving medical necessity. He had prescriptions, but that wasn't enough. They wanted a letter from his doctor explaining why he needed more than what they calculated as appropriate daily dosage. He didn't have a doctor's letter because he didn't know he needed one. The medication verification process took 50 minutes and he missed his flight. 5 years of trouble-free travel with the same medical supplies, and suddenly TSA was making medical decisions about his treatment needs. This next detail will shock you. TSA agents receive basic training on normal medication quantities but aren't medical professionals. They're making decisions about your healthcare needs based on limited pharmaceutical knowledge. If you carry medications for chronic conditions, conditions, get a letter from your doctor explaining your dosage requirements and why you need to travel with specific quantities. Your medical needs don't automatically justify carrying the medications you need anymore. Most people with chronic conditions have no idea that TSA is now regulating their healthcare decisions. New rule number 4, social media monitoring integration. You post about your trip on social media. Check in at the airport, share a photo of your gate, tag your destination. Normal social sharing that millions of travelers do without thinking twice. That social media activity just became part of your security screening profile. TSA now integrates social media monitoring into their passenger risk assessment systems. Posts about travel, location check-ins, and itinerary sharing get analyzed for security implications. Here's what most people have no idea about. Your social media activity affects your screening level before you even arrive at the airport. Specific types of posts trigger enhanced screening protocols: real-time location sharing, photos of airport security areas, travel itinerary details, or content that suggests coordination with other travelers. And the analysis is automated, so context doesn't matter. This next case is unbelievable. A travel blogger flying from San Francisco to Miami posted Instagram stories about her departure gate, flight delay updates, and connecting airports. Standard travel content for her 50,000 followers. When she arrived at security, she was selected for enhanced screening, including full bag search, explosive detection testing, and extended questioning about her public operational disclosure activities. The screening took 75 minutes because the system flagged her social media posts as potential security reconnaissance sharing. She was literally just documenting her travel experience for her blog audience. The social media monitoring system doesn't distinguish between innocent sharing and potential security threats. It only recognizes posting patterns that match their risk assessment algorithms. Limit travel-related social media posts to after you've completed your journey. Don't share real-time location information, flight details, or airport operational information while traveling. Your social media habits are being monitored and can trigger intensive security screening. Most travelers have no idea that their Instagram stories can affect their TSA experience. New rule number 3, group travel coordination restrictions. You're traveling with colleagues. Same company, same trip, booked on the same flights. You coordinate timing to arrive at security together, help each other with bags, and travel as an organized group. That coordination just triggered their anti-coordination protocols. TSA implemented group behavior monitoring that flags travelers who appear to be coordinating movements or sharing resources. Even legitimate group travel can trigger security alerts if it looks too organized. Here's what catches most business travelers. Normal group coordination behaviors are now classified as potential security risks. Helping colleagues with bags, coordinating timing through security, or sharing travel information within your group gets flagged as suspicious coordination activities. And once one member of your group gets flagged, everyone gets enhanced screening. This next revelation will shock you. A team of 5 consultants flying from Dallas to Chicago were flagged for coordinated group behavior because they helped each other organize belongings at the security checkpoint. All 5 were subjected to additional screening, including separate questioning about their relationship, travel purposes, and coordination activities. The screening process took over an hour because each person had to be processed individually while agents verified their stories matched. They missed their client meeting because they traveled together efficiently. When they asked what they did wrong, agents explained that organized group movements suggest possible coordinated activities that require additional verification. They worked for the same company and were traveling together for legitimate business purposes, but their coordination looked suspicious to behavioral monitoring systems. Travel as individuals even when you're part of a group. Don't coordinate timing. Don't help with each other's belongings. Don't appear organized or efficient as a unit. Your teamwork and consideration for colleagues can trigger intensive security screening for everyone. Don't say we didn't warn you. New rule number 2, technology usage monitoring. You're using your phone while waiting in the security line. Checking emails, browsing news, normal phone usage while you wait. Same digital behavior you've had in airports for years. That device usage is now being monitored and analyzed for security implications. TSA implemented digital behavior assessment that tracks how passengers use electronic devices in security areas. Specific usage patterns flag travelers for additional screening. Here's what most people don't realize. They're not just watching what you do, they're analyzing how you do it. Rapid app switching, frequent screen checks, typing behavior, and call call patterns all get logged in your security profile, and the analysis happens in real time while you're in line. One marketing director flying from Atlanta to Phoenix was flagged for anomalous digital behavior because she checked multiple work apps while waiting in the security line. TSA agents pulled her aside for questioning about her elevated digital activity and subjected her devices to additional electronic screening. The process took 45 minutes because they had to verify that her normal work app usage wasn't potential coordination or intelligence gathering activity. She was just catching up on emails during a long security wait, but the behavioral monitoring system flagged her productivity as suspicious. Limit phone usage in security areas to essential functions only. Don't rapidly switch between apps, don't engage in extended typing, and don't make multiple calls while in security areas. Your normal digital behavior is being monitored and can trigger enhanced security screening. Most people have no idea that using their phone normally can look suspicious to TSA monitoring systems. New rule number 1, post-security movement tracking. You've cleared security and you're walking to your gate. Finally, through the checkpoint, heading toward your departure gate, maybe stopping for coffee or checking the departure boards. Normal post-security behavior. Those movements are now being tracked and analyzed for security compliance. TSA extended their monitoring beyond the security checkpoint to include post-screening passenger behavior analysis. Your movements after clearing security are logged and analyzed for suspicious patterns. Here's what most travelers have no idea about. Clearing security doesn't end TSA monitoring. It begins a new phase of behavioral tracking that follows you until you board your aircraft. Specific post-security behaviors trigger alerts: visiting multiple restrooms, spending time near restricted areas, making numerous stops, or deviating from direct gate travel. And the consequences can include removal from the secure area even after you've been cleared. This final case will blow your mind. A frequent flyer cleared security in Denver and stopped at 3 different locations: coffee shop, bookstore, and restroom. Normal layover behavior he'd done hundreds of times. The movement tracking system flagged his multiple stop pattern as inconsistent with direct gate travel expectations. TSA agents approached him at his gate, questioned him about his post-security activities, and ultimately required additional verification of his travel intentions. The questioning process took 30 minutes and delayed his boarding. He nearly missed his flight because he bought coffee and used the bathroom after clearing security. When he asked what was suspicious about stopping for coffee, the agent explained that multiple stops after security screening suggest possible reconnaissance or coordination activities. He was just killing time during a layover, but the tracking system interpreted his normal behavior as potentially threatening. Travel directly to your gate after clearing security. Minimize stops, don't visit multiple locations, and avoid any behavior that could be interpreted as surveillance or coordination. Your post-security freedom is now an illusion. You're still being monitored and can still be flagged for removal. Most travelers think clearing security means they're free to move normally through the airport. That's no longer true. The system behind the rules. Here's what connects all of these secret rule changes. TSA has implemented comprehensive behavioral monitoring and algorithmic analysis systems that track every aspect of passenger behavior from arrival to boarding. These systems use artificial intelligence to identify patterns that deviate from their statistical models of normal passenger behavior. The problem is that normal behavior changes constantly, and passengers aren't informed about what the current baseline expectations are. What seemed perfectly normal last year now triggers security alerts because the algorithms have been updated to flag different behaviors. And here's the key insight that most travelers miss. These systems are designed to flag anything unusual, regardless of whether it's actually threatening. The algorithms would rather flag innocent passengers than miss potential security risks, which means normal variations in human behavior now trigger intensive screening. Your individual circumstances, practical needs, or logical reasoning don't factor into algorithmic decision-making. The system rewards completely predictable, statistically average behavior and punishes anything that makes you stand out from their computational model. What they're not telling you. These rule changes were implemented without public notification because TSA classifies them as operational security enhancements rather than policy changes. The behavioral monitoring systems were rolled out quietly to prevent what they call advanced adaptation by security threats. But this secrecy means that innocent travelers are discovering new requirements when they violate them, not through advanced communication. TSA agents are enforcing rules they often can't fully explain to passengers who had no way of knowing the requirements existed. The result is a security system where experienced travelers are being flagged and delayed for behaviors that were perfectly acceptable for years. Final warning. The most important thing to understand is that these monitoring systems are constantly evolving and becoming more sensitive. New behavioral flags are added monthly. The algorithms become more restrictive over time. What gets you through screening today might trigger alerts next month. but the core principle remains constant. TSA wants completely predictable, statistically average passenger behavior with no individual variation. Any efficiency, preparation, coordination, or normal human behavior that makes you stand out from their algorithmic model increases your risk of enhanced screening and missed flights. The goal isn't to be a good traveler or an experienced passenger. The goal is to be an invisible data point that perfectly matches their computational expectations. If you've been subjected to enhanced screening for behaviors you thought were normal, drop your story in the comments below. We're tracking these cases and documenting the pattern of secret rule changes. Remember, they changed everything without telling you. Stay predictable, stay average, stay algorithmic. Don't say we didn't warn you.